Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mondays with Mundy, and that's me, Jim Mundy, the historian for the Union Legacy Foundation. So it's summer. Summer has arrived, so I'm in my summer outfit. I hope you like it. I think it's appropriate enough. Two episodes ago, the one about the odd couple that celebrated the 45th anniversary of my employment and Cassell Moore's employment at the Union League. We had an interview, and during it, I was specifically asked what was my favorite moment at the League, and pretty much without hesitation, I said, Richard Nixon's visit to the League in 1988, still fresh in my memory. So it was March the 28th. And by 1988, obviously, Richard Nixon's past president, but he's on the comeback trail. And he was due to give a talk in Chicago, a major foreign policy talk in Chicago. And so he was invited to come to the League as a bit of a warm-up for that, if you will. And why not? Because keep in mind, in terms of foreign policy, keep in mind that Richard Nixon's probably his greatest achievement, though it's always debatable, but I think was his reconnecting the world to China, perhaps. And so it was suggested to me then that since I talked about it at the interview, well, why not interview or talk about it with all of you? So we're going to visit the Union League on March the 28th, 1988, when Richard Nixon gave a foreign policy speech. So here we go. So I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. And there it is. And I have to do the slideshow. Come on. From the beginning. Bingo. We got it. Okay, so Richard Nixon visits the League, March 28th, 1988. All right. Now, Nixon had been to the League once before, actually in 1960, when he was running for president. And so I thought I'd start back in 1960. And here he is in 1960. It was called Baseball with Dick. And he was a great baseball fan. And he knew a sports trivia like nobody else I've ever met. And so from left to right, we have Bruce Wallace, a member of the League. Dan Lehman, second from the left, is the general manager. Of course, Richard Nixon. I don't know the gentleman with his back to us, but on the far right is League President Russell Hewer. So that was Richard Nixon's first visit to the League in 1960. And here we are in 1988. So that is League President Lewis Clodder on the left with President Nixon. And they are at the top of the stairs, the grand staircase in the Broad Street building. And Mr. Clodder is explaining to President Nixon all about the George Washington painting by Thomas Sully. And that's what's going on there. And so Mr. Nixon continued to walk around the house. And one of the things I got to do and why it's so memorable is that I got to give him a tour of the clubhouse. And along the way around the clubhouse, of course, we met different people. We met employees, first and foremost, because the members hadn't quite arrived yet. So on the left-hand side, we have Catherine Abernathy, who was a waitress, and as you can see, a big Nixon fan, big button on her uniform. She was a sweetheart, too, wonderful lady. And on the right-hand side, we had the League general manager, Stanley Orr, shaking hands with the president. And Mr. Orr was also a big fan of Mr. Nixon's as well. So here we have the members getting to meet the president, and that is Mary Roebling, who was in the first class of women admitted to membership at the August board meeting in 1986, so just 2 years earlier. So there's Mary Roebling, of course, of the Roebling family thing, but Mary Roebling herself was a banker in New Jersey. And this is what the table looks like. And this is the library lounge, which is where President Nixon ate his dinner. You can see the League really went all out. And I have barely seen, at least I think, a more beautiful table setting in some ways. So there's that. This is the Fell room. And through the door is the present day McMichael room. But again, you can see how beautiful the place was really set. And this is going to be today it is the Mead room. Back then it was the South Marble. All right. You can tell by the chairs. And this is the library lounge. Of course, you've got the fireplace in the background, but those chandeliers are the giveaway here. So it's always one way to figure out where you are in the League house is look for the telltale signs. All right. This is Lincoln Hall, the way it was set for the talk, the presentation. You can see the cameraman there in the middle getting ready because he's going to record. And here we have the dinner itself. And so just to the left center is President Nixon. To the left of him is Mrs. Clodder, and to the right of him, oh geez, I forget already. figure it out. But then we have Mr. Clotter to the right of that, and then we have Elizabeth Flood. President Flood, or Bob Flood would be the president after the Clotters, and you can see the back of Bob Flood's head there at the front. And on the far left, we have future president again, so we can see quite a powerful table. Robert Miller with Mrs. Miller next to him. So quite a table. And during the evening, we had 4 musicians from the Air Force Academy band. They called themselves the Strolling Strings, even though there's an accordion player in there, but nonetheless. But then they would obviously they would float through the whole clubhouse during dinner time, playing music all over the place. And lower left-hand corner, you see immediate past president Robert G. Wilder. Left-hand corner. And here we have, and then during dinner, President Nixon went around and visited all the different dining rooms. And I mean, the room, the house was packed, but he very graciously and generously used his time to go visit everybody. And here's President Clotter taking him around the room, around the building, to the different rooms. And we have 2 more scenes of him doing that. And he couldn't have been friendlier, kinder, just ebullient. I mean, he was just in great spirits that night, and it showed. And in case you don't recognize the gentleman on the right-hand side, that is his son-in-law, David Eisenhower. So I don't think Julie, yes, Julie was there. I don't have a photograph of Julie and David, unfortunately. And here we have past President Hearn Hamilton on the right-hand side, and that's Betty Hamilton on the right, his wife. And then to the left, we have Judge Donald Jameson. I guess that's his wife there. And Judge Jameson was on the board of directors at that point. At least he had been. And here we have President Nixon's actual presentation in Lincoln Hall. And you can see how the stage was set. And what I like is that they didn't use a lectern that blocks him visually. It was just what they call a broomstick mic. And I love the way he has his hand in his pocket. I mean, it was just pure Nixon all the way. So here we have a little more close up where you can see. I mean, he really enjoyed himself. So that was President Nixon's visit to the Union League on March the 28th, 1988. Hope you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. As always, we really appreciate your patronage and your support. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. So in between, enjoy the weather. It's getting nicer and nicer. I think the rain is over. So get out and have some fun in the sun. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.